Hi, this is Brandy with Hardin County Schools. I'm going to kind of cover Google Forms as an all-in-one lesson delivery tool. I think something has come to light with NTI that is actually going to apply when we come back into the classroom, but especially right now with NTI. And that is that less clicks makes it more independent. And that means just less clicks for kiddos is going to make it easier for them to go through instruction. Now for NTI, the application there is obvious. I think in weeks 1 and 2, we had lots of confusion from parents and from students with, clicking here and then going there and then clicking here and then going there. And if we can get everything into one place, which is what we're going to look at today with Google Forms, then that's just going to cut down on the clicks that parents and students have to do for NTI. Going forward, I think that the same things, if we're using some of these delivery tools and we've learned how to streamline them with less clicks, that's going to be the kinds of things that are going to help us in independent like stations or centers or with student independent practice of any type, or having students set up in a um, situation where they have a substitute, or maybe they're working in a group, or they're just working at different rates. So this is going to allow us to put our videotaped instruction into a lesson, along with some kind of checks to see if they understood the material and what they're taking out of it, and then also give us a chance for like an assessment. Into ideally what we're looking at with forms, versus if you saw there's another session on interactive notebooks and slides, it's very similar. I would use the slides if my instruction is going to be taking more than 1 day, class period, chunk of time, and use a form if everything that I need to get done in this independent, time could be done in a 10 to, hour-long chunk, depending on what grade level you teach. So first, we're gonna go over and just open up a new form, and I'm gonna call this, test or demo day 27 NTI. Um, let's see, what am I gonna do? Probably reading or ELA. Okay, so in my lesson, I know that basically I have to get across some direct instruction, and then I want to kind of give the students a chance to practice, and then I would follow that with the assessment. Okay, so form description, I'm going to put detailed directions here for what for students to do, especially if I'm doing this because I want them to be doing this independent. Um, But at the same time, I think it's really handy to number the steps that you're giving, and then try not to write out like paragraphs. Maybe just put, short little statements for the students, regardless of their age. For younger kids, obviously, the reading comprehension is going to come in, but even for older kids and adults, don't know about you guys, but I'm horrible about reading directions. So if they're short and sweet, yet give me exactly the information that I need, then that's going to help me out. So one is going to be let students know. Here's one of the things that we will talk about too whenever we talk about, or we'll just go and talk about it now. Students using forms. And the reason I say that this is going to be for when I have like a small chunk, like a daily sort of thing, because once you go into a form to start it, there's really no easy way to go back and get back into it and pick up where you left off. So that's why we want these to be kind of like a 1 day or one session sort of thing when we're organizing work inside a form. So I'm going to tell the kids once you start the form, you cannot come back. First is gonna be, complete in order, top to bottom, and then, watch video first, I don't know, whatever, and then, enter all whatever. Okay, so there's gonna be that. What I'm gonna do for my instruction part, the very first thing I'm gonna put in, this is just, my directions. I'm gonna insert a video. If you look over here to the right-hand side on your toolbar, this is to add a question. This is to import questions from like maybe a doc or something else that you have. Titles and descriptions we could use to chunk this out. You can put pictures in here, so maybe it's just a diagram or a picture or a graph or something is going to be your instruction. We could do that. Video. And then we can actually insert sections. Probably won't cover that in this lesson so much. But so if I do add video, and these are going to be YouTube videos, or you, I believe, can pull a web video or a video from your drive, but that's going to be way, way, way harder for students to see, given, especially if it's NTI work, because different settings are going to affect it differently on different devices. So I would say use YouTube. And let's say that I was wanting to teach about, what do we say, ELA, navigating digital information. So let's say I'm going to take my high school students or middle school, probably high school students for these crash course videos. I'm going to take them through kind of a unit on talking about sources and your online information and what's the best way to process that. And let's say this is day one. And so we're just talking about online information. All right. And this is going to tell us about how we can get anything about anything that's online, but it can be false or misleading. So it's going to talk to us about how we can navigate digital information and make sure that it is true, okay, and how we fact check that. So this is kind of an introduction to that. So I'm going to copy this YouTube video. If you look up in the search bar, I use Control C to copy. Don't come over here. I'm going to Control V. You can also right click to find it. I have to click on the video and hit select. Now, what's going to happen for my students is, and I'm hitting the eyeball here over here, the preview button. They're going to come in, they're going to see their directions, and bam, first thing, they're going to see their video. So what's going to happen is they're going to see the video and watch it. They can pop it into a full size. They can pop it full screen if they want. Oh, what does it say? It's full screen is not available. I think you have to go out to go to full screen. Yeah, they have to go out to go to full screen. Anyway, so they're going to watch the video. And then they're going to see my first question. Okay, so I'm going to go back to edit. So after they've watched the video, I'm going to ask kind of an open-ended question here. So, what is one thing you learned from the video? Or however you want to phrase that. Um, so what's one thing you learned from the video? I'm going to set that as required. Okay. Then I could go ahead and add another question and set them with some sort of like tasks to practice with this. So find one social media post that you think is not fact based and link it here. So what my students would do at this point is they're going to go out and maybe find that Instagram or that Facebook or whatever post, and they're just going to insert the link here. I'm going to make that required. And I'm going to chunk these into little bitty, for my purposes, I'm going to chunk these into little bitty, right? So keep in mind that this video is like 13 minutes. So it's definitely a high school length video. We cannot be expecting students in first grade to be watching a 13-minute video and comprehending it. Okay. So keep that in mind. You could chunk the videos, maybe a 5-minute video, two questions, another 5-minute video, something like that. But a 13-minute video really is only appropriate for like probably a later middle school or a high school age kid. So find one social media link that you think is, and then I'm going to put it here. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and ask another question. And like, so now I'm going to have them actually explain why they think it's not factual. And then I can do short answer, which gives them, I think, about 250 characters, or I can go ahead and let it be a paragraph. Either one, I'm going to require that. Ta-da. Okay. All right, so I've got the basics in my form. Like I said, depending on how long your videos are and how old your students are, I'm looking at this as like one day's worth of work, right? So if a day's worth of work is going to be about 30 minutes, this was a 14-minute video, then they have to find something their own. They have to they have to give me some information about the video. Kind of that's a kind of like prove that you read it sort of thing. Although So if that's just a quick check, then this is a more like, okay, you get to actually apply this information, right? So I even kind of have two levels of questions here. Um, and then that gives me 30 minutes around ish, okay? Depending on the age of the student and all that sort of being appropriate. And we'll touch back on that in a second. I'm going to set this up. This is probably going to be assigned into my Google Classroom. But on the back end, let's go to settings, collect email address, because I'm assuming if I'm putting it in my Google Classroom, that it would be okay to collect student email addresses. Although we have had some issues with that during NTI with people not being logged into Chrome as themselves. But if they can get to the classroom, in theory, then they would also be logged in as themselves. I almost always use collect email address when I send a form to students because if I get their email, then I don't have to ask for their name. But you may want to do one or the other depending on what you've learned through NTI. Response receipts, I'm leaving that on right now. That's that on that very last page. They can request a copy of their answers. Super handy if kids are working during the day and parents are not getting home to the evening and then trying to like say, did you do that or not? This way they can prove it. All of those other ways too. Um, Restrict to Hardin County users and trusted organizations. I generally leave that on. Like I said, depending on your experience, that might also be something you want to change during NTI in case you have multiple students using a computer or whatever. But we're going to assign this in classroom, so that shouldn't be an issue. If you are assigning this just straight from a link on your teacher template, then I would take off collect email address and I would take off restrict. Okay. And I would put in a slot for name over here on my form. So I would add a question. If I click here, the question goes below, and I would put a response here for student question if I wasn't collecting email address, just to make sure that I got my students' names. Something else I almost always leave on edit after submit so that they can come back and edit this later if they realize they've made a mistake. Right? If this was multiple choice, you could set this up as a quiz now. These are not multiple choice, so it's not going to do me any good. But if you wanted to provide a video and then put in like maybe two, three, four multiple choice questions after that, by making it into a quiz, then it would grade itself and you would not even have to grade it, especially if this is, just one day's worth of work. That might be something you'd want to do. So I would hit quiz, make this a quiz, save. And then if all of these questions here were multiple choice, let's insert a multiple choice. And I could ask what best summarizes this video and put, three different whatever answers. I'm not going to get right now. I'm going to make this up. Okay. And then click answer key. I could pick which one is correct and it assign it a point value and hit done. And if I had nothing but like maybe, like I said, one, two, three, or even five multiple choice questions after the video, then it would grade this for me automatically, so I wouldn't even have to do any grading. So, I mean, that's kinda cool. Especially that would help, work smarter, not harder right now. However, if it's something like this, you still have to if it's a long answer, if they type in anything, then you're gonna have to grade that. The only thing that'll grade for you is if you're doing multiple choice or checkboxes or drop down or multiple choice grid or checkbox grid, okay? All right, so we got that all set up. I'm going to show you how I would assign this in Google Classroom. And this is a really cool tip I think that we've become very aware of during NTI. So I'm going to go to my test or to my class here. All right. And when you assign it in Google Classroom, you can actually save yourself and the students a lot of steps here. Okay. So I'm going to go to classwork, create. Now we're used to just kind of go into assignment, and to be very honest, I wasn't even sure what that quiz assignment thing was for a long time. I was like, why did this was that suddenly an option? However, here's the kicker. If I make a regular assignment and I put in a doc or slides or just whatever, then the students have to at the end hit that blue button that says turn in. And we're probably all experiencing right now during NTI, asking students repeatedly, to hit the turn in button. Because until they hit the turn in button, it looks like it hasn't been done for you, which makes it super, super hard for recording on your side. And it also is not importing the grades. If you have a form and you make it a quiz assignment, it takes away that turn in button. And as soon as they submit the form, then there is no nowhere, it doesn't take them to an additional screen that says turn in, and they're forgetting that turn in button. So if you have a form and you are assigning it, you want to assign it as a quiz assignment. Okay. So TI day 47. I could repeat the directions from before. Okay. Or I could put, all your work for ELA today is in this form. Complete it and submit. Right. Now it has this whatever blank quiz, blah, 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 blah. I cannot lock down Chromebooks once they leave the district. So that's irrelevant for NTI. So I'm going to take this one off anyways because it's not the one I want. I'm going to add one from my drive, and it's that one we were just working on. There it is, demo day. I'm going to add. I've got my grade reporting or importing turned on. And then I just go through all the steps I need to go through to assign this to my class. So probably setting a due date right now, maybe for the end of the week, so they know they need to get this done this week. During NTI, we're encouraging topics, and a lot of teachers are organizing topics by day. So, like day 47, day 48, every day would have a different topic. That way kids can kind of keep themselves organized as they go through. You may or may not know about the drop down arrow here. That is where you can assign it now. I can schedule this to hit, next Monday at 8 a.m. if that's when I want this to hit my classroom because this is Monday's work, or I can save it for later. Also here, something else to point out, just in case you didn't know, this says all students. I can actually click on this, take it off, and just assign it to certain students because then I can do a different video or a different activity or different questions for a different group. And that's actually helping me to differentiate. If you're using this in independent centers in class when we're back in face to face, normal instruction, that might be super important. So I would pull three different videos on, I don't know, main idea and details that are three different levels. If I'm teaching three different levels in a class, and then each of those three videos is going to be put into a separate form. Then I've made three separate forms for my independent center, and I can assign it to just the students who need it. So I've differentiated that independent center at that point. So that's the real joy of that. Then from there, I just hit assign. Like these two students are gonna be freaking out. And now that's posted into my Google Classroom. Okay. So what I kind of did with that was I'm gonna delete this real quick so my kids don't think I'm insane because I don't even be like, what is this? Okay, so what we kind of did there was we took all the parts of our lesson delivery, and that was kind of our direct instruction. I used a video in this case. Okay, we took our direct instruction and we put it in there. Then we followed that up with kind of a low level question. What's something you learned, or just kind of a free question? I think what's something you learned is a good question to ask kids because you just never know what's going to come out of their mouth and what they might have picked up on. This is where we kind of did that test question, thinking about if I wanted it to be all multiple choice. And then I have where they have to kind of apply the information that they learned from the video. We talked about how to assign it. I went ahead and put in a student name box here because during NTI, sometimes students are not signed in correctly. Although since I assigned it in classroom, they should be able to do that. Or it should collect their email address and be fine. But student name, if you want to do that. And we talked about then how to take that and assign it into classroom. If you were not assigning this in classroom, let's say that you're a primary teacher and maybe you're just putting links directly onto your templates, instead of having a template that has watch this video with a YouTube link, then answer these questions with a form link, You can put that in, which is 2 clicks for the parents or 2 clicks for the student. You can put the video, like we just did, inside the form, and then it's all in one nice place. Watch the video, bam, watched it, then, okay, go down, answer the questions, done. Keeping in mind also that I can set it up as a self-grading quiz if it's just, multiple choice questions to kind of check for comprehension of the video. And then maybe tomorrow I'm going to refer back to this video in a different assignment, relink the video, and then have them do some applying or some deeper work with it. Okay. If you're just sending it to parents, you're going to hit this button that says send. You only hit this button whenever you're trying to send it to somebody to like actually, take the form. I'm going to hit the link button. I always use the link shortener just because it's easier. Copy this, and then this address is what I would put into that form. And then it's just the one click for parents, video, or for students, video and questions, one place, bam, done. So we can get it directly to them. That link can also go into Dojo or an email or Remind or whatever other system you're using right now, or we can put it into Classroom. Okay. So we talked about the basics of the setup for NTI and beyond. And that's just how to, set up your form and with question types in your video. Um, that also replies to, are we going to take a name or collect emails, and then how to send it to them through assigning in Classroom or mm, correct link. Okay. We address student concerns by talking about in Classroom the way to assign it as a quiz assignment versus just an assignment. That way, it takes away that need for them to hit the blue turn in button as well. Another student parent concern here is that, especially during NTI, having to click into different video types was a real struggle for a lot of students. So even if, and let's go ahead and kind of play with this. Let's say that I was going to, instead of inserting, and I'm going to get this off of here, and I'm going to insert a video, but let's say I want to insert a video that was from my Google Drive because it's one of my screencast recordings. Okay. Well, I said it was. All right. So I'm in my drive. The reason I came here is because I need to find the link to a screencast video. Let's say I'm going to use this one. I'm going to get the shareable link. I'm going to make sure that I turn the link sharing on. Link and take it back to our form. You're going to see that it will not load that video. It makes it super, super hard because these are YouTube videos only. You could insert a link there, but not as a selected video. One of the reasons they do this is because unless the video is uploaded to YouTube, it, like I said earlier, it's going to make it super, super hard because of all the different formats. So make sure that you're actually using a YouTube video. If you need, then you can upload all your screencast videos to YouTube. That's just on that very final page when it says process save to drive. Directly underneath there on Screencastify is a little button that says publish to YouTube, and you publish it unlisted. Anyone with the link can view. That way it works inside your Google form here, or it works when you send it to your parents. So let's go back. I'm going to grab that crash course one again and throw it back in there. I'm done. Like I said, that could also have been one of my, that's what I was going to show you, wasn't it? Sorry. One of my YouTube videos. Like I said, this is just something that I have actually made that I put on YouTube. Let's insert. And instead of using that, I'm using my link. Now it's my instruction that is embedded there whenever the kids go, and it's my screencast. Once again, it just makes it a whole lot easier by going to YouTube to do it. So hopefully that will address some student concerns with the type of video. Last thing I wanted to kind of reiterate, this information, don't know if you've seen it floating around the internet recently. It comes from the Illinois Department of Education. And they have some really good information out there on the COVID closures and their teaching, and some pretty credible sources that they got their information from. There's not a whole lot of information out there that tells us how to successfully do this long distance or long-term distance learning like we're doing in NTI, because it's just never happened before. So it's not even the kind of thing that has been studied. Um, Blending technology into your classroom, there's lots of research. That is not what we are doing right now. This is a totally different ballgame. um, College level, like kind of distance learning, or maybe a homeschooling program of distance learning, that is not what we are doing right now. That is for students who are, specifically working independently or have this, this giant curriculum. That's not what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now is something that's never been done before. So there's not a ton of research out there to support how to do it right and how to do it, what's wrong. We don't know. There are some things that we do know, and that is information about the attention span of students and their abilities to kind of comprehend. And this is what the Illinois Department of Education is putting out right now. And based on some of that research that shows us, okay, really like what can a child realistically comprehend? Say for kindergarten, it's 30 to 90 minutes a day just of them doing anything. But recommended length of sustained attention, 3 to 5 minutes. That means that it's not really realistic to expect a normal kindergartner. And we're talking, average attention span, average grade level is what these are based on, to watch a video or to attend to a task. Okay, so that is any more than 3 to 5 minutes. So if we're putting a video in there for a kindergartner, it should be 3 to 5 minutes long. Then it should maybe have 3 to 5 minutes of practice, and that's what would be appropriate. For high school kids, we're looking at more at 20 minutes to 45 minutes per class per day. Okay. And that is also looking at the length of videos falls in the 20 to 30-minute range. Okay. We can just kind of take this and go from it. And that's for one subject area or class. They're actually suggesting that 120 minutes to 245 minutes would be the total that they could complete in a day. Okay, so just kind of looking at that 20 to 45-minute range. Once again, thinking about that would be kind of the length of the total instruction for the day. So I'm going to keep my video at maybe 15 minutes to 30 minutes. Then I'm going to follow up with some practice that's going to fill out that 45 minutes for the day. Although Hardin County Schools has suggested that even for high school kiddos, we attempt to keep it under 30 minutes for the day. So just kind of looking at and kind of to recap what we did, we're looking at Google Forms as an all-in-one lesson delivery tool. Right now, we're talking specifically about NTI and how if you use Google Forms and embed as much as humanly possible into that one form that can be done in one, sustained chunk. So 5 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on the age of students, no more than 30-ish, according to Hardin County, that we're going to take that one chunk. This might just be Monday's, instruction. This really could, be chunked and even kind of count for, okay, Monday, Tuesday, whatever, but they have to sit it down and complete it in one fell swoop because of the way that forms work. They can't pop in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay, so it's going to have to happen once and be done. And then we could stick this, like I said, this might be Monday's lesson, or you might tell them, hey, go into the forum, watch it on Monday, and then on Tuesday, go back in, rewatch, whatever, answer the questions. So I really could use this one form for 2 days and kind of cheat it a little that way, just to make sure that they're really getting the instruction. But it puts the instruction and the practice, or kind of the instruction and the formative assessment all right there in one spot so that it's less clicks for students. Once we get back to face-to-face instruction, it's also I think a clever way to kind of package your independent work so that students it's the work's chunked out. It's all there in one place. They know what to do. They do what they need to do. It's easy to differentiate. And then you can move on from that. I think that covers everything. If you have any questions, please let me know.